Feats experience.
And with that, we are live for another episode of the Gaming Feats Experience. With me is John Klinkle, my co-host, and also special guest Josh Houslander. Correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, John, and you're on too, right?
I am on.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just get right into it and all that. And Josh, thank you for joining us and all. We really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. So the thing is that we wanted to bring you on. I do know that John, my co-host, was on your podcast. Tell us a little bit about your podcast first, if you could. He was on it last
John
week.
Was on, I do several podcasts these days. Have been for quite some time, but John was on episode of the XCast last Tuesday, which XCast airs almost every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. The only time it doesn't is the second Tuesday of the month. That time slot is taken up by the Deep Issues show, which is also hosted by me, which breaks into kind of some deeper issues. XCast is more of a variety show. We talk about just about anything. Also on that network, you can, shameless plugs here while we're at it. You can catch me on the Politics of the Empire show, as well as Loud State, which is a music show. Those are in the 7:30 time slot, also on Tuesday nights.
Excellent. Okay. Well, no, definitely check it out. I'm definitely going to be a subscriber because I really liked, some of the conversation that we were having previously, which we don't want to get into too much and all that because it's on the, I'll just be honest, it was on the side of politics and all that, but I definitely want to check into it and all that. So absolutely. But anyways, John was on your podcast last week and we actually had a change of plan with regard to our topics that we were going to talk about. And we decided, you know what, it would be awesome to have you on to discuss this, which the official title of this is actually the greatest video game or the greatest game of all time. But John wanted to point out, too, that, the greatest game may not be your personal favorite. So getting into our slide deck here, greatest video game of all time.
Oh, let me interrupt real quick.
Sure, absolutely. There was a big announcement.
Yeah, well, not big, but two little things. One, I wanted to say I was rocking out my Classic Arcade T-shirt, courtesy of Kevin Ketchum of Classic Arcade in Gobles, Michigan.
Cool.
And so, shameless plug for him as well. But I did want to make mention of Jason Strawn. He's been putting up some scores on Galaga, and he's climbed up to 12th place on the tournament chart, which he actually improved his score, but it still remained in 12th place at 1,725,900. And then on marathon, he finally put up his first marathon score of 3.2 million. So he's climbing up the charts.
Oh man, that's awesome! Absolutely awesome. So, anyways, back to what we're saying, and Jason, congratulations and all that. Absolutely awesome and all that. It's really great that since Score Wars and all that it, all kinds of interest has been actually generated into Galaga. So absolutely excellent that we're having all these great players coming out of the woodworks from God knows where. I know what was kind of funny is this. I'm originally from Evansville, Indiana, and two great Galaga players. I mean, don't consider myself too bad, but two really awesome Galaga players. I would say that Colton Blanchard, absolutely crazy that two really good Galaga players come from the same small city in southern Indiana. So that's awesome. Granted, I'm not that bad either, but I'm kind of hanging up my my hat up on that a little bit. I don't want
to. Indiana, Mark Schultz just put up the number one single ship score.
Oh yeah, tell us about that, John. The single ship score for.
Well, it's
Mark
just it's a marathon game, but they play one ship. They don't capture and get the dual ship. So Mark Schultz put up I don't know the exact number.
Was it like 1.5 if I'm not mistaken?
1.2 or 3, I think.
Oh, okay.
I did hear that Andrew Barrow put up a 3 million point score.
Single ship. No captures or anything like that, people. 3 million. So
correct.
You talk about a guy that, quite honestly, with his ability, it's just a matter of whether he wants it or not. But he's got so many other records. It's just absolutely crazy. So kudos to you guys. Jason, Mark Schultz and of course Andrew Barra and all that stuff. You know, Jason with your impressive scores. You know, as you're climbing up and always besting your personal best. And absolute congratulations to both Mark Schultz and to Andrew Barra. So, anyways, going back to our
Impressive stories for sure, man. Very
what's-
impressive. But not on my best day, I couldn't do those.
all right, thanks, Josh. So we're gonna go into the topic. What is the greatest video game of all time? Now, granted, John wanted to point out that the greatest video game of all time may not be the necessarily your favorite, and I can totally understand that. So, you know, Josh, we also brought you on and all this stuff, and I, you know, as we, you know, as I got some roots back in the South and all that, you know, I should be more accommodating and all that stuff. So I'm going to let you go first because that is the right thing to do. So tell us about your. What do you think is the greatest video game of all time? And is the greatest video game of all time your favorite?
It's not. I like it. I definitely would never be able to say that the greatest game ever is my favorite because I admittedly like some really dumb video games. I mean, I really do. I like some like goofy, dumb stuff. I mean, I'm still to this day, I'm a grown man, and I still judge. One of my top judges on whether or not I love a game is how cute it is. I mean, I just, you know, I like, you know, I like goofy games. I like weird stuff. But I don't know if my answer is going to throw you guys for a loop or not here. It's what popped into my head, and I don't really know exactly what you guys were looking for, but in my opinion, and again, this might be weird to some people, the greatest video game of all time, if I had to say, the greatest video game of all time is something that goes across several platforms, and I would say the greatest video game of all time is Tetris.
Okay.
That to me is a game that, you know, huge number in playability, yet also still huge in difficulty. Kind of, you know, it isn't a multi-genre game, and if you hate puzzle games, which some people might, then you're gonna say, no, Josh, you're an idiot, you know. But for the most part, I think it's a game that, you know, is loved by many. It crosses genres in ways that people who aren't normally into that type of game still like that version. And that to me, if I had to pick one game, and an argument can be made for dozens, but if I had to pick one game, I would say Tetris.
So
how good are you at Tetris?
I'm pretty good. Yeah, I'm pretty good actually. It's been years since I played it. To be honest with you, it's not something I play regularly, but I was very good. I always preferred the Game Boy version. Yep. I like the Nintendo version as well. The Game Boy version was what I played more. There's also, you know, it's the top two. I think the main two would be Nintendo and Game Boy, but it actually exists on arcade. Dozens of platforms. Yeah, arcade as well. And just also I mean, like the Pro 600 and, you know, little handheld games like that where it is basically Tetris that you're playing, you know. So it does exist in a lot of ways, a couple different settings in the game, and, you know, very, very cool. I was pretty damn good at it, actually.
So that's interesting because, like, now that I'm thinking about this, because you brought up this game. I mean, you're talking about this game, if I'm not mistaken, obviously it originated from Russia. Or the Soviet Union, actually. It came out, it was actually developed as a computer program back in the early mid-'80s and all that. And then, of course, it got ported to the Game Boy. The first instance that I know of or I'm aware of that I came into contact with was on the Game Boy in 1989. So, I mean, right there, I think, in fact, actually, if you think about it, you know, when you think of launch title, let me put it this way. You know, 1, 2, 3, launch title for the Game Boy. What is it? I mean,
From Russia with Fun.
No, I meant the launch title for Game Boy. That's what I meant.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were asking I remember the original when Tetris came out. That was how they were pushing it, was From Russia with Fun.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
okay.
What were you asking?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
Game Boy.
No, I meant like the launch, like when we think of titles for the Game Boy, that's where I was going. I forgot about that marketing campaign and all that, from Russia with fun. So obviously a play on the James Bond movie title, From Russia with Love. So no, I totally get that. So no, I mean, you think about it, because you had it originally, it was a computer game developed by whatever computer programmer out of the Soviet Union. Then it gets ported to Game Boy. And then, of course, they had the one classic on the NES. I do believe, and then they had different variations and all that. I remember playing on the Xbox. I actually played this on Xbox Live whenever it came out back in the early mid 2000s. There was like some type of Tetris attack or something like that. I can't remember what specifically it was, but it was where I could play Tetris competitively against other people, that if I solved a puzzle or knocked out 4 lines, it would then add those lines to the other player, and then you're just competing and all this stuff. So lots of fun. And now that I think about that,
Oh yeah,
you,
it
cool.
was pretty cool.
Or anything it's not ported to?
Huh, good question.